On today's show,
when you're a young coach, you just think, oh, we'll always be in a chance to compete for state titles. And then you get a taste of getting out there, and it's tough. I mean, it's really hard to have this success and to, win a state championship. And it's something you never want to ever take for granted because it is so difficult.
It's that time of the year where nobody knows what the weather wants to do. It's also that time of the day for Kansas Sports Chatter, our statewide high school sports entertainment show streaming on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Cole Rife, and we talk about high school athletes, the coaches, the media personalities, the administrators, anybody and everybody that makes high school sports special. We try to bring it into the show that comes out on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we're able to do that. And big thanks to our sponsors. Here's a few of them. Meyers Enterprises. Bring your business into the 21st century with marketing from Meyers Enterprises. Also, Eastus Media, the voice of the Pratt High Greenbacks. Follow Eastus Media on YouTube and Facebook. And visit Salina, big city lights, small town love. They are located in the center of the United States. Salina is in the middle of it all. The lineup is set for today. King Lawson from Shawnee Mission West High School will have our leadoff question. Josh Regan, he's going to help us do our transition into spring sport coaches. Regan, the head coach of the Fort Scott baseball team, will talk about his state championship last year and just the baseball program in general in Fort Scott. Jim Misunas, longtime sports editor for the Great Bend Tribune. He has seen and covered a lot of great sporting events throughout the states. He'll talk about the state basketball tournaments, including some Central Kansas teams like Central Plains and Ellenwood and how they fared this past weekend. Tyler Ryan, head coach of the Andale track and field team. Man, they won a lot of state championships. Good conversation with Tyler Ryan coming up. Jeff Bollig, Kansas Sports Hall of Fame chairman. We'll talk about another Hall of Fame member, Lonnie Kruger, and Chloe Parker from Neosho County Community College women's basketball team. And at a Riverton High School will be our next level talents. Here is our leadoff question for today's show. It's today's leadoff question with King Lawson, a member of the student athlete of Shawnee Mission West. King, the question, what advice would you give any freshman entering varsity sports?
Some advice I would give to freshmen entering varsity sports is, one, take school seriously. One thing I didn't do was take school seriously my freshman year, and that's messed me up. So take school seriously. Get in the weight room. You got to get in the weight room. You cannot skip reps in the weight room. You got to really put in the work because everybody's getting stronger and faster, so you need to be able to match it or be over that requirement. Another thing, you got to work on your craft. Like whatever you're doing, basketball, football, tennis, golf, you got to practice like a lot because just practicing when you got practice it's not going to work. You got to have a lot of practice because everybody's getting better. You just want to keep getting better.
When did that sink in for you? Like, when did that kind of make sense for you in your high school career?
Sophomore year.
So for you, like in the schooling, like what type of like extra work did you do just for your schooling?
Oh, I went to go get a tutor so I could get my grades up because I was not trying to fail. And then I just ended up staying after school, and the coaches was helping me make sure my grades stayed up. And then after that, sophomore year started. Then I just really realized, like, if I want to go play football in college, I got to keep my grades up myself. And ever since then, I've just been studying. Make sure I at least turn something in if I don't have it all done, but I make sure I have everything done.
Any specific routines in the weight room, like whether it's, during the school year or after school, before school that you do?
No specific routine. I really just go off what my head coach, my strength coach, because he came from K-State. So I usually just use his workout. If I'm not working on him, I just use his and go on again. So it's bench, power hot pull, squat, shoulder combo, things like that. And then, we got to stretch, and then you got to do core because the core activates everything, and then recovery. And stretching and recovery is two different things in my opinion.
Did any upperclassmen reach out to you like when you were young and like when you were first entering high school, give you any advice?
Keon Anderson from Wyandotte and Baker. he reached out and told me to make sure I come in there and work, and told me if I need something, he got me. And then he ended up coming to pick me up during that summer, and we ended up getting work in the whole summer.
That is King Lawson with Shawnee Mission West. King Lawson making another appearance on the show. Big thanks to King out of Shawnee Mission West with our leadoff question. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will start our transition into spring sports. The first one to do so, Josh Regan, head coach of the Fort Scott baseball team. He joins us next.
Before the big game even starts, you have to find the perfect place to compete, work as a team, find success, and have fun. Finding the right place to meet all your needs can be challenging. That's why Salina strives to provide a winning experience. Our community in the heart of Kansas has fantastic facilities to play, eat, be entertained, and compete for the trophy. Bringing teams and families together has never been easier when you visit Salina.
Power outages don't wait for a convenient time, and neither should you. Right now is the perfect season to invest in a standby generator from Wheatland Electric Cooperative. With low monthly payments and special financing for co-op members, reliable backup power is more affordable than you think. We'll help you survey, install, and finance a Generac standby generator, all with professional installation you can trust. Protect your home, your comfort, and your peace of mind before the next storm hits. Get a free quote today and make life without power a thing of the past. Visit us online or call us to get started today.
Back at it here on Kansas Sports Chatter as we bring in our next guest, to which we are, almost making that transition now over to the spring sports, as we will bring in a Josh Regan. He's the head coach of the Fort Scott baseball team. Hey, Coach, appreciate you coming on the show. For you, like this time of the year, like what are you getting ready for? Obviously, getting ready for baseball, but like what things are you kind of concentrating to get ready for the season?
Yeah, so it's my favorite time of the year. I told a buddy of mine last week that's a coach also, like every year I'm so blessed that every single year I'm more and more excited for the baseball season to start. I just love doing it more and more. And, I guess when that's not the case anymore, I'll know when it's time to get out. But that's a huge blessing. And I'm same way this year, super excited about our team. We got a huge challenge. We obviously won the 4A state championship last year in Kansas. And so we're kind of the hunted instead of the hunters, I guess, in some regards. Although, at the same time, I think a lot of people expect us to take a step back because of the tremendous senior class that we lost, and rightfully so. I get it. So a lot of times, it's that balance of like seasons when there's really, really high expectations, which was what it was like last year. Everyone knew we were good enough to go do damage and maybe win the whole thing. And then seasons like this year where it's like only the people in our clubhouse expected to necessarily do great things, right? And everyone else kind of expects us to, again, maybe take a step back. So it can be really fun when the expectations are lower, because it's almost like you're playing with house money. It frees our players up. It frees everyone up just to go get after it. And it's like, we just let the chips fall where they may. And it's almost like, from the extraneous view, whatever's a bonus this year. Although for us, it's always, our goals are always set on the very highest things.
Yeah, we'll talk about those standards at Fort Scott here in just a bit, but like how much are you tinkering with like your baseball lineups, even during like the off season, kind of the couple months before the season even starts? How much are you kind of messing around with it?
Oh, absolutely. And I tell the guys this every year going into the season, all 9 spots are up for grabs. And our pitching rotation, same thing. But, based on the track record of the players we bring back and stuff, you have an idea of who's going to be in the lineup. There's, X number of guys have proven that they're varsity players and are that caliber. And so then it's like, okay, which pieces, first of all, how do they fit? And then which pieces do we have available? And who's the cool thing, one of the things that's the most fun is who's going to step up, because every year there are guys that step up that are just kind of, you may hope they do, but you never really know. So that's a lot of fun too. And so, yeah, Coach Messer and I, Josh Messer, been my assistant for 11 years. And my other 2 assistants, we added this year, actually, Jake DeRosset and Clayton Collins are, home run hires 100%, but they're brand new coming back and coaching. Jake played for us before. back in, I think it was 2013, 2014. So anyway, Coach Messer and I have done this together for a long time. So we've had a lot of discussions about, hey, what's our pseudo depth chart look like going into the season? Who do we expect, to be our best arms? And then kind of like, man, who are we hoping, really steps up? And then just, again, there's those guys too that sometimes come out of the blue. So that's probably the most fun about it, honestly, is starting a new season. You got a whole new group of guys. It's a completely different feel. You got to push completely different buttons. You got different leaders. A lot of the time, at least, the leadership changes, I guess I should say. And so for me, that's probably the thing that I relish and enjoy the most, is building a team, from day one. That's just, to me, it's a blast.
You mentioned Coach Messer. I mean, how much fun is that? Just, a couple baseball guys, being able to do that for 11 years. Because a lot of times, especially at the high school ranks, Coach, I mean, you don't get that. Might get 3 or 4 years and they move on, or something happens. They move with their family. But to be with each other, for 11 years, this is gonna be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Well, and a lot of people are aware, and a lot of people aren't. Josh Messer played in this program back when I was here. He was a year younger than I was, but we played together, and we went and played for a state title in 1998 together. We lost against Great Bend in the 5A state championship out in Salina, actually. So we were at Dean Evans and had a chance to win it all. Just as a team, did not play well that one game. Just laid an egg, really, one game, and it cost us what we felt like we were the best team in 5A. So we've lived with that, since we were 17, 18 years old. And then here we are. My dad was our coach. My dad loved Josh Messer, and so he comes back and is an assistant for me. And then last year we get back to the state tournament. And that was a group, by the way. His son was a senior. He had coached those boys, a lot of them, that senior class, since they were 8 or 9 years old. Nice. His son actually pitched the championship game for us. Like, you almost, like, if it was if it was fiction, you almost wouldn't believe kind of the way it all came back together. That ride we took together, again, his son and that group that he had coached for so long being a big part of it. And of course, him coaching them for so long was a huge part of the success that we had. He had really helped shape and build them into a great baseball group. And so, yeah, it has been incredibly special. And I'm so thrilled that even though his son, graduated, he still is coming back, and hopefully we do it together for a long time, because it's awesome.
You mentioned your dad coaching and, the field named after your dad, and but how much, what was it like, I guess, just growing up through that program as a kid, and then especially once you arrived in high school?
Yeah, well, I was 10 years old when they created the baseball program here at Fort Scott High School. My dad was the first coach. I remember it really vividly. I mean, I was the bat boy for those teams. I wasn't able to come to practice every day necessarily, but I was at all the games. Just kind of had inside access, to all the speeches he gave them, and just kind of how he ran things. And so, I really feel like, and my brothers too, one of my brothers at that time would have been 8 and the other one was 7. We all were kind of in the same boat, just, grew up in the program, looked forward to playing in it. All of us played in it. All of my cousins played for my dad also. So it was awesome. And then to be able, I never set out to come back here necessarily and coach at this school, but I'm so grateful to God that things have worked out the way they have, because it's been such a blessing. So that makes it all the more special, right? Like this, yeah. I wouldn't want to go anywhere else, honestly. And I love doing it here. And again, just not only Coach Mess, but there's a lot of guys out there who have, personal ties to the program and love it and follow it. And that makes it really cool too.
Josh Regan joining us here, head coach of the Fort Scott baseball team. You mentioned all the success like that, your dad had, and the culture that you guys have built up there at Fort Scott. How nice was it to get that state title, after, kind of eluding you, like you mentioned, when you were a player and had so many opportunities just with the success of your program, but to finally go get that state championship had to feel really good.
100%. I mean, I don't know that I can even put it into words, honestly. You chase something for so long, and I watched my dad chase it for so long, and we got so close when I was a senior, and didn't get it. And it's one of my major regrets in life, was that we did not get him that state title that I know he deserved. And all of my friends on that team, we talk about that all the time. It's just, it was heartbreaking. And then, again, I've been here, this will be my 15th year, and that's been the goal since day one. And so you work and work and work and kind of go after this thing that almost seems like, it's a dream, and it's like, it's hard to explain. It's like you can't even reach out and touch it. It almost seems, I don't want to say unattainable, but it takes so much to win a state championship. People don't understand. Yes, you got to have a great team. Yes, you got to have talent. You've got to have great leadership. You've got to have great chemistry. You got to play your best at the right time when it comes, regionals and the state tournament. And again, my team was living proof. You play one bad game and it's over. And then you also have to catch some breaks. And I tell people, I've taken teams out there before that I believe were the best in 4A. We were the best team, and we didn't win it because maybe we didn't play our very best at the right time, or there were some little breaks that didn't go our way. Little things within the game that, one ball bounces differently, right, or gets through a hole, or, one play is made or whatever, and the entire thing is completely different. So you have to catch breaks. And that's why baseball in some ways is a stupid game. It's maddening, but it's also why it's beautiful and we all love it. It's not always the best team that wins. It's the team that plays the best. And again, that catches some breaks.
How much of a baseball town is Fort Scott? Because you talk about Fort Scott High School, you guys have, success in multiple athletic departments, but like with the LaRoche baseball complex and just in the community college, but like how much of a baseball town is Fort Scott?
I feel like it's, baseball is a huge part of our community. There's, everyone's a baseball fan here. Of course, the LaRoche brothers coming through Fort Scott did a ton for that. But even before that, my Uncle Dave LaRoche, Adam and Jeff and Andy are all my cousins. But my Uncle Dave played in the major leagues, for, I think it was 11 or 12 years, was a relief pitcher. And so, he would come back here in the off season. And so people started to follow him too, and there was a whole lot of pride in terms of, we had a major leaguer, that was from our town. So, and past that, fast pitch softball was a huge thing here in Fort Scott for a long time, back when, I was really little, and that was kind of tied to baseball. It's just, baseball and softball have always been a big part of the fabric of our community. And I think, with the success that our softball team has had, which is a ton. They won a state title. I think it was in, I'm going to get in trouble, but I believe 2005. I wasn't living here at the time, so I'm not exactly sure. But the softball programs had a ton of success, have had some incredible players come through, and so people are really proud of that. And then, like I said, on the baseball side too, I think we get a ton of support. And of course, you mentioned our facility has kind of taken things to the next level. A lot of people come here and play in the summer, and I know teams like coming in here and playing at our stadium. That's really been a huge asset too. So we're so grateful to Adam LaRoche for the gift he gave us in that facility, because again, I feel like it's kind of taken things to the next level.
What was it like? Were you around in the early stages when they were like putting that together, even like planning out that complex? Like, what was your thought process? Like, what are they doing? Like that'd been pretty cool.
Well, I was there the night that Adam drew it up on a bar napkin. His first ideas of what it would be. Adam's, my best friend. We spend a lot of time together. And he was actually an assistant coach for me for 5 years, back 2017 to 2020, those years. So, we started talking about, because, we had a ballpark here that was kind of shared amongst, rec groups and our high school. And so we struggled to keep it up and make it playable. It just kind of felt sometimes like we didn't have a home. And so he wanted, he started thinking about, man, it would be awesome if we could, develop something where the high school program has its own home. And so I'll never forget, he started to draw it up. And he's incredible in terms of Adam just has this gift of like, I don't know, creativity, I guess. He kind of took all the best aspects of ballparks, especially like in his time in the minor leagues and stuff, all the best ballparks that he had been at, and his favorite kind of characteristics of them, and then tried to make it into a field that would be high school level, but also college level, and maybe even at some point, have, semi-pro or minor league teams come and play in it or whatever. So, I feel like he did an excellent job of setting up like the fan experience. I mean, the stadium seating, and just the whole layout of it, and the lines of sight. I mean, it's really well done. And then Dick Robertson was a guy that coached him in the summertime and had developed a company that builds baseball parks. So he brought Dick in. That was one of his main things, was I want Dick Robertson to build this field. And so Dick came in, and we started, they started again developing it and having an architect draw everything out. So I was there from the very beginning and then watched all the construction of it. It was, I'll never forget it. It was just really, really neat. And when people started to hear about it, they got so excited because, it was just kind of like, hey, we're going to have this incredible stadium.
That's awesome. Hey, Coach, appreciate the insight, and best of luck as the season gets closer.
Yeah, I appreciate you too, man. If I may, there's one thing that I'd like to kind of talk about, which I just feel on my heart. I need to share this, and things that people don't necessarily understand or see. So like I said, we chased that state tournament, or that state championship, since I was a little boy, since I was 10 years old. And it was always just this dream, right? And then once we got close to it, and on that last day of the state championship, or the state tournament, that last game, it's almost surreal. I got to go back and watch it just to kind of remember all the, the things that happened. But I'll never forget, the people need to keep in mind two things, really. First of all, the destination, like the title itself, and I think young coaches should understand this. I wish somebody would have told me this. The title itself, right, is unbelievably, it's such a special experience. It's unbelievably euphoric, right, when it happens. And it is worth all the work and everything you put into it and all of that. But the kids and the relationships are what make it so special. I mean, what my greatest memories of that whole celebration, when the game ended and everybody dogpiled and taking pictures afterwards and everything, were just the joy of the kids and what, how much they had put into it, how much they loved each other, what they had sacrificed together. That's what made it so meaningful and so beautiful. So, the journey and the kids themselves. And I think back not only last year, but the 13 years before that, all the kids that had bought in and worked so hard and made all the sacrifices we asked for and had such a great experience. And, I thought of all of them, like while we were celebrating, because it's just, they're part of this too. Right. And then I'll say, like, that euphoria was probably the next morning was when it really sunk in. And I was really emotional because, again, just the history of it and everything else. Yeah, it was amazing. And it probably lasted about, 36, 48 hours, I'd say. Just that, you're on cloud nine. But then at some point it becomes like, okay, what's for dinner? I mean, life continues, right? Yeah. You're not just going to stay in that moment forever. And the beauty of it is you start all over again, and you start with another group and go try to chase another one. But my point is, I felt, and I'm being honest with you, about 3 or 4 days after that, there was this emptiness that was in my heart and my soul. Just like if you pin all your hopes and dreams on an accomplishment or some goal that you have in this life, you accomplish it. And then I'm just telling you, on some level, I would never trade it because of what it meant to everybody. And I'm so proud of it, but it's completely unfulfilling in the, like, at the highest level, or in an eternal way. And I'll just be honest, because I'm honest about my faith. God and Jesus Christ are the only thing that will really fill your heart, and I mean fill it, in a way that is that's lasting, that's meaningful, and that gives you purpose or gives us our identity. Sort of, if you pin all your hopes and dreams and your identity and your purpose on an accomplishment in this life, whether you get it or not, you're going to be disappointed. So I just want people to understand that the work we do as baseball coaches is so much more than helping kids become better baseball players. And again, whenever it is that I retire, those are the relationships with kids and the experiences and the memories we have together are the things that I'm going to look back on that are going to give it the most meaning and matter the most. So thank you for allowing me to say that.
Well put. Well said. Coach, thanks for the time.
You bet. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for all you do for Kansas baseball and all of our kids. That
is Josh Regan, the head coach of the Fort Scott baseball team. We'll have more of the show right after this. SPX Specialized Video Wall Solutions. Your gym needs SPX. Kansas Sports Chatter streaming on YouTube and available anywhere you get your podcasts. We bring in our next guest, Jim Misunas. He is the sports editor for the Great Bend Tribune. Jim, how long have you been at the Tribune now?
Yeah, I've been there since 2011, so a 15-year period. So, yeah, it's settled in pretty nicely. It's a nice hotbed of sports. Barton County has done very, very well, and Barton County sports is up to 62 national championships now. They'll be going for number 63 next week at the sports arena.
Yeah, you've covered a lot. You've seen a lot. Let's go ahead and pick things up this weekend, though. So for you, I know the Ellenwood girls were doing their thing. Central Plains is well represented at the state tournament this year. What did you see, and what excited you about the state tournament this past weekend?
Well, it's fun to see there's so few girls' schools that are really good in volleyball that have branched out and are really good in basketball. And Ellenwood was not the case either, but they've encouraged their athletes and their girls to go out for volleyball, because oftentimes volleyball is just a year-round deal where the girls just play volleyball. And so it's nice to see that they've been able to do that. And no question that athleticism and that competitiveness carries over to basketball. And immediately they go to a sub-state championship last year and then the state championship this year.
Well, and for Ellenwood, I mean, you talk about their run in the 2A state tournament. I mean, getting to the semifinals and in that great game against Eureka in the semifinals, just came up short against Sacred Heart.
Yeah, they really played three quality teams. They couldn't have had, and 2A sometimes is very even, and it was certainly that the case this year because they played two quality games. You know, they're down 3 points and have a couple chances to tie it late. Had they done that and got the lead, there's no question in my mind they would have won. But if your mentality is you're always behind from basically the start to finish, you never get that extra boost from getting the lead or getting it tied. Even if they'd gotten it tied, it would have changed the momentum and the character of that game. But they weren't able to, and unfortunately were 2 of 24 on three-pointers. You know, looking back at it, I'm sure that when they look back at the tape, let alone looking at it right after the game, they'd say, you know, maybe we need to not shoot so many three-pointers. And they'll think about that next time, or maybe they've thought about it immediately after the game. But when your percentage is 8%, you need to go to Plan B. And Plan B with Julia Schlesinger was actually working pretty good. She got 12 points, 12 rebounds. But Sacred Heart did a nice job challenging three-pointer and then also doing a nice job with Schlesinger, who had 12 points, but you know, she averages maybe 15 and really did a pretty good job on her too. But it comes down to making some shots and then choosing those shots a little bit more carefully because, you know, had they got to the line, got fouled a few times, that would have been the difference in the game, I think. But all in all, the defense was very good. Competitiveness of the Ellenwood girls, they really have changed their program from 100% because they used to play a half-court game. Now they play a full-court game, and they bring players off the bench who are really good and do just a fantastic job. They've got everybody back but two players. They lose Regan Widener, who averaged 4 or 5 points, and then Schlesinger, who averaged 15. So they return the majority of their offense. They return like 50 out of 65 points off their team. So they'll definitely, in fact, right now, here, they're going to win 2A next year. There we go.
Yeah, man, bold statement. I like it. For you, I mean, seeing Central Plains, both the boys and the girls back at the state tournament, it reminded me like of, a number of years ago when they just seemed like the Oilers were both teams were always well represented. Of course, the girls went on their big run, but like it was just kind of nice to see both teams back at the state tournament.
Yeah, the girls had fallen off a little bit, but again, when you lose 9 games and you're still playing in the state semifinals or state quarterfinals, that's still a heck of a year. And the Central Prairie League has been tougher in recent years because St. John and Ellenwood have gotten good girls programs too. But yeah, it was nice. Central Plains boys back to back in the semifinals and back to back 4th place, but they still got a pretty good program. They got 2 of their top players, Brody Kreitz and Camden Stiles, back next year. And then Central Plains girls are really loaded for another really strong year. They'll be better next year. They got Avon and Emery Simpson back. They got Lyndon Heckley, Taylon Davis, and Lily Hurley. So Central Plains, well coached by Pat Stiles. They'll be back in the 1A picture next year too. So I expect both teams to be pretty much exactly where they were this year, competitive for the league race, and then competitive in postseason with a chance to go to the state tournaments again. So yeah, both teams will be very good. All 3 teams will be very competitive and in line for state tournament bids again next year.
Hey, Jim, before we let you go, anything else that stood out to you about the state tournaments and just kind of what caught your eye?
Well, the thing that I saw was that it seemed like the fans and everybody really adjusted pretty well to the change. They played the quarterfinal games on Tuesday, Wednesday. For the teams that played Tuesday, that allowed them to play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, which wouldn't require you to stay anywhere in particular. You had to travel back and forth. I think that worked out well. Now, if you were the Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, I think it worked out fine as far as that goes. The neutral site games at Salina, Wichita, Kansas City, and Dodge City seem to work fairly well. I mean, those teams and those fans, they have a way and means to travel. They're going to go. I mean, the crowds for Emporia were just amazing. St. Mary's was playing St. Mary's Colgan, so that was fun. 2 St. Mary's teams playing on the same court, and brought the fans. They had a huge crowd for a 3rd place game, and then Ellenwood and Sacred Heart, they had huge crowds too. So it was fun to see all those teams. Those fans are going to follow you. They don't care whether it's Dodge City or Emporia. Those fans are gonna follow you, and they're gonna pay the price and do whatever it takes to get there. So it was fun to see that. I think spreading it out worked fairly well because you didn't feel like there was the same number of championship games, but you didn't feel that happened until the Saturday championship day because there were split semifinals for Thursday, Friday. So I mean, it worked. Everything worked out fairly well, I think, the way they split them up.
Hey, Jim, appreciate your time. If you want to go see your work, well, what's the website for the Tribune?
The Tribune is gbtribune.com, and profiling on the junior college sports and the high school sports, gbtribune.com will get you there.
Hey, Jim, appreciate the time.
Hey, Cole, good job. We miss you on the Hoisington football and Barton County basketball. The mark of a true professional radio announcer is they go through the scoring at the end of the game, and Cole always did that. Good job.
Just for you. That's
Yeah.
Jim Misunas, the sports editor for the Grape Inn Tribune. Here's a hard truth. If your business isn't using AI in its marketing, you've already fallen behind. But there's an advertising agency in Kansas that can get you back up to speed. That agency's name is Meyers Enterprises Media Research. The name sounds dry because the company's run by engineers, not salespeople. They use superior research and analytics that drive results with surgical precision. Marketing doesn't have to be a gritty battle in the trenches. Your business can win from the box. Visit their website, mediaresearch.agency, to learn more. Tyler Ryan is our next guest for the show. He is the head coach of the track and field programs at Andale High School. Coach, appreciate you coming on the show. And spring sports are right around the corner. Like, when is the first meet for Andale?
April 2nd is our first meet. It's a home meet that we host. We call it the Paul Bear Schmidt Invitational. It kind of honors Paul Schmidt, who was a longtime coach here. I think he was here for almost 40 years, coaching even after he retired. And so that's our kickoff. And then we always know that track is starting because the weather turns really nice. So we're rolling here and excited for the season.
Well, I think there's always that debate, like who has the worst weather, whether it's fall sports or spring sports. And like fall, like, I mean, you can get into some snow, like toward the end of the season, the playoffs for football and cross country. But like, I feel like spring, like every single day is like a thunderstorm watch. So I feel like spring has it worse.
Well, I would agree. It's just more inconsistent. Even in the fall, it doesn't vary as much. I mean, it was 48 degrees the other day, and then I think here at the end of the week it'll be the mid 70s, and it's just going to yo-yo all spring. So we're just used to it. I was telling our kids when you're getting ready for practice, prepare for the worst. And I said, there's a reason why all of our coaches at practice look like they're getting ready to hit the slopes and go skiing, because they're used to it. They're prepared, and you guys need to do the same.
So as a coach for track and field, like where's your mindset at right now? Like what things are you trying to, mess with, before the season officially starts?
We're just trying to get everything where it's just kind of roll with itself. A lot of our kids are still in basketball. We got kids in bowling. Hopefully our boys and girls make it to the state basketball tournament. So we're just trying to get that routine established, and especially with our younger kids, just identifying events that I think would be a good fit for them. So it's just kind of a fluid time frame for us in terms of just finding kids as fits. Hey, here's where we think you can help us as a team. Here's where we think you'd be a good event for you to continue to work on. And so it's just kind of getting that rhythm going for the beginning of the season.
You talk about trying to find that right fit for kids in different events. Like some of them I imagine are pretty easy. Like, okay, he's really, really fast. He's a good sprinter, blah, blah, blah. You put him there. But are there some that are maybe more challenging as far as where you're going to place them?
Yeah. I mean, we spend a lot of time. I kind of do this game. We meet every day in our team room, and we kind of go over the game plan. And I spend a lot of time explaining to kids, this game we call is Name That Indian. And I show them progressions from former athletes, that kids that were not very good, but they just stuck with it and ended up, being a state scorer or, qualified for state. We've had a kid that was a high jumper, that was a 4'10" high jumper as a freshman, and ended up jumping 6'5" when he was a senior.
Nice.
So we just spent a lot of time with that in trying to get kids to be patient and be open to try things. And we try and rely on more of the technical stuff. Now, we always love kids that are fast and can sprint, but we try and push them into more technical events like the vaults and the throws and the hurdles and even the jumps, where we can use our advantage, what we have with our coaching staff, to help develop you to become the best athlete that you can.
Name this Andale Indian. Is this like an official game show? Like what's the setup for this thing?
Yeah, I always have a presentation at the beginning of every practice, and with Mile Split, that website is just so cool, and you can go through and look at some kids. We graduated a girl last year, Arwen Hennessy, and her freshman year in the mile, she was in 17th place at our home meet, and that's not anything to write home about. Arwen ended up just working and became a talented athlete, scored in the mile, ended up running the 2 mile at the state meet, I think took third. I mean, she just was an absolute stud for us, and there was no real indicator when she was a freshman that, man, this girl's going to be special as she gets older. And it just goes to show the buy-in and the work ethic and what can translate from that. And so we just use that all the time with all the different kids in the past, that, hey, you can develop into something if you want to commit to it and work hard.
You talk about the past. I mean, you see that sign behind you, just some of the tradition and some of the records there at Andale. Like, how much fun is it as a head coach, just seeing that success, some of these kids are having even at the next level? Yeah.
I mean, I've got a wide range of background of different places I've been. And, when I came here, my very first year, I was an assistant coach, and the girls were state champions that year in 2017. And I even had to ask the coaches, like, hey, what's the routine here? They said, well, they do a trophy presentation. I'd never stuck around for that, never been a part of that. And so that was a neat experience. And just the expectation from our kids and our coaches to have a chance to compete for state titles was something I wasn't exactly used to as a head coach at other places. And so I feel very fortunate to be a part of that with kids that are excited about track, kids that, hey, this is their sport. They want to do this in college, or, they're just very dedicated to it. So it's been a neat experience for me as a coach and being a part of that. And then you get a taste of that, and then you just want to continue. Hey, we got a shot at it this year. We got a shot at it this year, and let's see what we can do and let the cards, play out how they will.
You able to spend a year as an assistant with Greg Smarsh, and you were telling me before he jumped on, he's referred to as the Godfather there, just the success and what he built at Andale. What was he like, and what was that experience like for you, just kind of being able to, learn from him?
Yeah, what I think the biggest thing I learned from Greg was just the structure that he had in place. He identified some really great assistant coaches that, have developed some incredible results with their kids, and the structure that he had in place, it made it easy to transition into the role as a head coach. Had no desire to be the head guy by any means. I was really disappointed when he said he was going to retire and wanted to go watch his daughter compete. But the structure that he had in place has made the job so much more enjoyable, so much easier to manage with the number of kids we typically get out. And so that's what the credit goes to him in regards to that setup that he had in place, and just kind of handed the keys to the bus and said, here you go, keep it on the road. So credit to Coach Smarsh on that.
I got to imagine, especially as a first-year coach, and you probably felt like you're well-equipped to succeed at Andale, but, I got to imagine, it made it a lot easier, coming out of right of the gate and winning that state title back in 19.
Yeah, it was fun, and it was kind of one of those surreal moments where, when you're a young coach, you just think, oh, we'll always be in a chance to compete for state titles. And then you get a taste of getting out there, and it's tough. I mean, it's really hard to have this success and to, win a state championship. And it's something you never want to ever take for granted, because it is so difficult. And I think going back to what, Coach Marsh did with the quality of coaches that we have here is incredible. I mean, Mark Schmidt does our pole vault. Been doing it, I think, since 1996. I've had over 100 kids qualifying the pole vault. Robbie Spexarth is, I believe, one of the best javelin coaches in the country. We've sent kids to Texas A&M and Kansas State and Wichita State, and he's just done an incredible job. And the list goes on and on and on. And, I feel a little guilty sometimes because I get the Coach of the Year award, and it's like I didn't coach that kid in the vault, or I didn't coach that kid in the throws or the jumps. But, again, that's just a testament. The success we've had is because of our assistant coaches.
Tyler Ryan joining us here on the show, head coach of the Andale track and field programs. That success, and now, the girls and the boys programs there at Andale, you guys have won 5 of the last 6. Boys have won 4 straight state titles. It's one thing to have a really good class, and you kind of see that success build over their 3 or 4 years, but to be able to sustain it, multiple years past that, I mean, that kind of goes into more of that tradition and, carrying it on to other individuals. What's the key in that? I mean, because, it's not just one class. You guys have been able to sustain it over multiple years.
We spend a lot of time with our younger kids. And I mean, I think we have 9 meets on the schedule just for our JV kids. And then I think also what's helped with the continuity is the amount of coaches that we have, and that helps where those kids are getting coached and developed. It's not, hey, you guys go over there and go throw, or you guys go over there and go run, and I'll be over there in 20, 30 minutes. So there's a coach there that's working with them. And so they see those results, they see that development, and then they get a taste of, hey, this is pretty fun, and I want to continue to do this. And so I think that's been huge, developing our younger kids with a huge emphasis on, hey, we want to get you in as many meets as we can. I mean, there's a lot of our JV kids, by the end of the year, we got to sit them out because they're going to have too many meets. And we want to develop that. And our coaches are passionate about it. They work really hard to make sure kids get opportunities to go out and compete, because that's one of the most fun things about track, is to get that opportunity to go out and do that and go compete.
So many multi-sport athletes, and I'm sure you guys encourage that, and with the success you've had at Andale. But I mean, I got to imagine there's a lot of Andale athletes that are dead set on, track and field being their go-to sport. Because a lot of times you don't get that, especially in the spring sports, I think, where, maybe it's going out for track to stay in shape for, this sport or anything like that. But I got to imagine Andale, there's just dedicated track athletes. Yeah,
we get some kids that it's very important to them and they want to do track in college. I think one of our assistants, Robbie Spexarth, he had put together something on the amount of kids that we've sent to college programs here in the last 10 years. And it was incredible. I mean, it's, of all the great success we've had athletically here at Andale, we've sent more kids to the secondary or the post-collegiate level. I guess that would be the collegiate level. We've sent more kids than any other, program in the school. And it's not like a contest on who can do more. It's just worked out that way. And so, yeah, we've got some kids that they come in and they say, yeah, I want to run track in college, or I want to throw in college. And that's fun. I mean, they're really into it and they want to do well.
How do you go about structuring your practices? You mentioned your coaching staff. I'm sure, have their say in that as well. But like, how do you go about, just a day-to-day, for a track practice?
So what we try and do is we'll set it up where 2 days a week they'll go to what we call their primary event, and then they'll start with that, and then they transition over to their secondary event, and then we flip-flop that on Wednesdays. Again, we want to develop those kids in lots of different events and find their best fit for them and for our team. And so we try and structure that. There's a football coach in me that wishes we could just blow the whistle and everybody rotates to the next area, but it's more fluid than that. Some events take more time. I tell kids, hey, we want you to do lots of events, but just understand it's going to take more time. And so we try and structure that. It's a little loose at times, but we work well as a coaching staff to, hey, we identify this kid or this kid, and hey, I'm going to have them start here with me, and then they're going to transition over to you, and then they're going to finish with their running workout or whatever we have on the docket for that day. So it really comes down to the staff having to work together to make sure that we can make that work with those kids in all these different events.
Hey, Coach, appreciate the time, and best of luck trying to dodge that weather here in a couple weeks.
That sounds good. Enjoy it. Thanks, man.
That is Tyler Ryan, head coach of the Andale Track and Field Programs. We'll have more of the show right after this. Are you looking for a new way to promote your business or organization? Do you want to get your message out to a statewide audience that loves high school sports in both urban and rural areas? Kansas Sports Chatter has advertising opportunities from commercials, sponsoring specific guests, product placements, and even a premier sponsorship. Let Kansas Sports Chatter promote your brand. Contact ksportschatter@gmail.com for more advertising details. That's ksportschatter@gmail.com. Come join the chatter. Here we go with another episode of our Hall of Fame Spotlights, and the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame chairman, Jeff Bollig, joining us here on the show. Jeff, man, exciting time of the year for you. I mean, you get a lot of basketball. We're full of basketball, and that's going to be one of our highlights here for our Hall of Fame Spotlight.
March Madness, right? I mean,
exactly.
It's an affliction we all have, and we enjoy. There's really no cure for it. But I will say, once it's over, coming down is a little tough. It's so exciting, then boom, it's over, which just creates the anticipation for next year.
You just move on to baseball, that's all.
Exactly. First pitch, right?
Hey, Lonnie Kruger, inducted in the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame a number of years ago. Great. I mean, you talk about a Kansas great, and then obviously you went country and nationwide, but man, it all started out as Silver Lake for Lon Kruger.
Wow. Interesting. The other day we saw where his scoring record was broke by Dane Johnson in a sub-state game. And they said it was 56 years old, and I thought instantly, well, that has to be Lonnie Kruger. And sure enough, from 67 to 70, he set the Silver Lake scoring record. And, records were made to be broken. I'd like to compare how many games maybe they played, but at the same time, Lonnie was just tremendous. And, overall, I think of Lonnie in that, I grew up in a time when when I was young, there was not an internet. And a lot of games are not on TV. So if you had the chance to sneak to a game in Manhattan or if you're on the road in Lawrence, you saw Lonnie Kruger play. And he's just that player that every young kid, but even adult looked up to. Small town Kansas kid, hardworking, clean cut, the All-American boy. And so, I thought it was fitting that we talk about Lonnie today, not only because his record was broken, but really what he meant to the state and what he delivered, especially to Kansas State University as a coach and obviously as a player, a two-time Big 8 Player of the Year. Just a tremendous athlete. As we know, he was drafted to the NBA, played in Israel in basketball, played a year in the Cardinals minor league baseball system, and then he's even asked by the Dallas Cowboys to come try out at quarterback, go to camp. So quite an outstanding person. Great coach, great athlete, a great Kansan.
Well, that's what stood out to me when I was, researching him even more was, we think of him as this great basketball coach, but man, I mean, the fact that he was just even invited by the Dallas Cowboys in the 1970s. And then, like you said, he was drafted out of high school to play baseball, eventually did one minor league season. So you talk about all time great athletes. I mean, basketball was good, but man, he was in everything.
He was. And, when I was writing my book with Bob Davis, the late Bob Davis, he talked about his first job at KOAS Radio in Hayes. And the first month he got there, actually the first few days, the sports director was gone. So Bob was thrust into doing the American Legion baseball tournament in August. And a Silver Lake team was there and their shortstop was Lonnie Kruger, a young Lonnie Kruger. And I remember Bob telling me that he knew even then that Lonnie Kruger would be an outstanding athlete. And, so good at so many things, great dexterity, great hand-eye coordination. He was just a winner. I mean, that's the thing about Lonnie. His teams won. He led them to winning. He didn't have to score a lot, but he could. He passed the ball. He played great defense. And like I said, kind of a throwback now. You have so much sports specialization. You don't have what Lonnie did. So always great to highlight him.
And that coaching career, starting at K-State, or at least his time at K-State, right. I mean, if it wasn't for probably your Kansas Jayhawks, maybe he wins a national championship in 1988.
Wow. You're right. 5 schools, the first coach to take 5 teams to the NCAA tournament and 2 Final Fours, Oklahoma and Florida. But you're right. Lon was just a great coach. And I think he had a lot of Jack Hartman in him. He could devise a defense and then a simple offense, and he could do it with players who weren't all Americans necessarily, or weren't even that tall as a center. His teams would be undermanned. But the one thing that strikes me about Lottie as a coach, and this is not even on the court, but I saw this having worked for Kansas and at the Big 8 conference, especially when I'd go to games in Manhattan and Lawrence. I should have paid more attention to Oklahoma, but just because it's Kansas, Lonnie would come out and watch his teams warm up, say 35, 40 minutes before the game. And most coaches don't do that. They come out right, 2 minutes before the tip. But Lonnie would sit on the bench and people would come up to him and he would talk with them. And I think it was just his way of connecting with people that he had known his whole life. And fans would come up. He'd even assign an autograph here or there. And it was just how approachable he was. And you could just tell how much he meant. As Kansans growing up, depending upon how old we are or where we lived, I mean, how many young girls remember Jackie Stiles and will always remember Jackie Stiles, and then Emily Ryan after? And how many people remember Lon Kruger and Nolan Cromwell, and then maybe in the east side of the state, it's Bubba Starling, it's just these great athletes who, we associated with. And we're a flyover state. We get it. We know that. But just some great athletes and great people. And what Lon did was take that Kansas and spread it out all over when it's time at Oklahoma, Florida, UNLV, the Atlanta Hawks. I don't know if there's anybody more respected in basketball in terms of the knowledge and just being a good person than Lon Kruger.
Had success wherever he went. Hey, Jeff, appreciate the time and the insight.
Thanks, Cole. Great to be with you.
That's Jeff Bollig, the chairman of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. We'll have more of the show right after this.
Being hydrated is essential for performing at your best. Remember to drink plenty of water before, during, and after practice or games. Fuel your body with hydration, balanced meals, and rest to recover and stay fit. Staying healthy means you maintain your strength and continue performing at your best. Hydrate your way to success.
It's our opportunity to talk to former high school athletes from the state of Kansas that are now competing at a college or university in the state of Kansas. And joining us on the show today is going to be Chloe Parker, a member of the Neosho County women's basketball team and out of Riverton High School. Chloe, appreciate you coming on the show. I mean, for you now, year 2 in college, what's that difference like from just that first year of college to the second year?
The difference, I would say, is knowing what to expect. Coming in as a freshman, you have no clue what to expect. You're kind of thrown to the wolves and you're like, all right, time to figure this life out, first time kind of away from the home, from the family, from the just everything, and me, I mean, I'm only an hour and a half away, but it's still different. It's still a change, trying to create, you show up first practice and you're like, all right, what am I dealing with? You kind of not to know what to expect, you go from being the best person on your team to your high school to, all right, everyone's good. Everyone has competition. You finally have some people to compete with and battle with. And it's that first 2 months was probably the hardest 2 months of my experience so far in my college career. Going through, like, we call it like Hell Week and stuff like that. It's a battle of the mind and the body. You got to get your mental and physical state right, or the truth is you just ain't gonna make it. It's every man for themselves, and the top 15 make it. So.
What helped you kind of adjust, going back to your freshman year at Neosho, like what helped you kind of adjust and settle in?
I would say one thing is just focusing mainly on myself and my habits and what I want to create myself better for. Also just keeping in touch with the people you love and know. That kind of helps you stay like prepared and ready and like help you through things. Also not being afraid, and also like something that helped me is like I joined a church and like kind of stay close to the community. That kind of helped because that people at church have now grown to be a part of family like me. They're people I tend to go to, hang out with, call them if I want to do something.
Nice.
Kind of creating yourself and opening yourself to a community that's welcoming and that will accept you. Trying to bring yourself out to the community as well. Like we do a lot of community service here as a women's basketball team. Like we go to also local churches. We do food banks with them. We help people with like little kid carnivals and stuff like that. We go to the middle school and high school and play with the kids. Creating opportunities and making yourself known in the community is a huge help as well.
You go back to, Riverton High School. What was it like just competing at Riverton at high school?
I loved community at Riverton. Riverton community is probably one of the closest communities I could say I've been a part of. Every day, every game was competing, competition. We have CNC is a tough conference. I loved playing teams. I loved playing those hard teams though. I loved playing Colgan. I loved playing Frontenac. I loved playing Girard. Those are the teams I always look forward to playing because we could compete. There's competition. And playing against tough teams like that. Girard's play at Girard is always a tough atmosphere. I loved playing at Girard because the crowd and the student section is always powerful and they're always loud. I love playing in those tough environments. Playing Colgan, always going in as the underdog. I love being the underdog in every situation. It's just part of me. I feel like I've always been underdog, so being that underdog everywhere we go, it just feels it gives you some kind of different urge, to want to play, want to win, want to compete. And so that's kind of one thing. I feel like I left my mark in Riverton. I really hope I did, kind of leading the team. The 4 years I was there, starting from freshman year all the way to my senior year, that's one thing I really wish I hope I did was leave a mark, So.
Any specific games that stand out in your time there at Riverton? Any highlights from high school games?
One of my favorite games I played in was my senior night against Baxter. It was probably one of the best games I've ever played. I had a double-double, almost a triple-double, which is pretty cool. That would have been really cool, first triple-double. But I love playing, like, Baxter again because they're, like, close town rivals. Galena was always fun, Going to Galena and competing was always fun. I liked whenever Mia Sarwinski was from Galena, I really liked playing against her. Me and her always went at it. It was super fun. I always liked – we played Girard second. We always played Girard sometime in Sub-State. I always liked that game too. I think we played – and then we also played Frontenac. Our first time beating Frontenac was at their place my senior year. And that was one of the highlights of my high school years because they had to beat Frontenac in, 13, 14 years. And that was a big deal, beating Frontenac. We also beat Girard. They came back and got us in Sub-State. But, just having those highlights. I always like playing at Colgan too. Colgan's atmosphere is always different, always fun, always active, The crowd also always – they're very made me aware that I was a great player, keeping my confidence high. So, yeah, those are probably some of my favorite moments.
Multi-sport athlete. During the fall, you played football, right?
Yes, sir.
So what got you excited about football and just continuing that interest as you got into high school?
So I played football since I was in second grade. Joined the boys early, you know. My sister I have a twin sister. She runs track at Evangel.
Nice.
She she was a cheerleader. We always went to like the Pee Wee football games, and I always sit on the sidelines watching her cheer. But I always loved the football game. I was sitting there, always engaged, figuring out what's going on. My first Super Bowl I watched was the Seahawks Broncos. That was super fun. I think it was 2014, somewhere in there. I don't know. I don't remember the year.
Okay.
But it was super. That's where I gained my love for the sport. You know, I figured out not very women would feel confident going into a men's sport like that. I mean, I had all the confidence in the world. I never really cared what people thought of me, what was going on. I just knew I was a tough kid and that I could do it. And so I went up to our football coach. I signed up, and he's like, all right, let's do it. His name was Duke North. He was kind of like my mentor through all that. He was a super great dude. I loved the dude to death. He actually one who convinced me to play basketball too in middle school, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
But football kind of made me the person I am. You know, it gave me my mental focus, gave me my mental toughness. You know, it's a hard sport. And I don't think not anyone can go out on the football field and dominate it or do the great. My thing was I went out and I knew I was going to do the very best I could. I knew I was going to be the toughest kid out there and battle my butt off. That's what I knew I was going to do. And that kind of helped me with every other sport too, with basketball, you know, my toughness on that. That's how I'm a great rebounder, great toughness kid, right? I'm a hustle kid. So that's what I'm going to do. I said, if I'm going to do one thing good, it's going to be hustling, right? I'm going to go for all those loose balls that not very many girls want to get on the floor for, right? And I'm going to win those. I know I'm going to win those by my toughness, right? And so I think that's something that football created for me. So,
did you have any big hits? Do you remember any big hits out on the football field?
I do remember some pretty big hits. So it was let's see. I don't know. I always played a lot against Colgan.
Okay.
And I remember we were playing corner. I was playing corner. They always ran the ball to the weak side. So whatever side had the least amount of yardage is the side they typically ran it to. And which was the side I was on. And so I remember it was Cooper Simmons. He was the running back. They handed off the handoff and he ran over. And I remember he thought he was going to fly straight through me. I got low. I tackled him and it was a pretty big hit. You know, that was pretty exciting. There was also a kick. We had a punt and the guy didn't fair catch it. And I beat him down the field and just plowed straight through him. You know, I love those big hit moments. I was a defensive player. It was awesome. I loved it.
So after high school, or actually even your senior year in high school, and trying to figure out what you wanted to do at the next level, what went into your recruiting process and eventually choosing the Neosho?
So coming out of high school, actually, I only had 2 official offers. It was Neosho and Fort Scott Community College. I knew Neosho was the place for me though. Neosho, I've been going to camps up here since I was in 6th grade. You know, JJ's kind of like a second dad to me, second home. Coach Mark's like a grandpa to me, you know, and they're all great. They're like family up here, you know. Being up here for a while, JJ kind of created me and made me the player I am. He trusted me first. He believed in me first. He knew what I was capable of. I feel like not many people, you know, coming from a small town, Riverton, Kansas, coming from Riverton High School, not very many people look at you and look at the competition and they kind of make you an underdog. I feel like I was an underdog recruit and people didn't know what I was capable of. And so now being here at Neosho and being able to create, hopefully, a statement here and seeing that, no, it doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, what you're capable of, that you can do anything that you put your mind to. And you can be as great as you want to be.
What's that style of play like at Neosho? I know you guys are fast-paced and you're in and out. So what's it like just kind of playing in that style of a game?
I love it, man. It's crazy. It's chaotic. I mean, we have shirts that say chaos right across them. You know, that's all it's about. It's just chaos, man. 94 feet. I mean, if you talk to JJ, it's 94 feet of chaos is all it is. I mean, we're full court pressing. We're going at people. We're running people. We're hitting people. My first goal was to hit someone on the court. I mean, I want to make people aware that, hey, we're here to battle, man. Like, this is what we're here to do. We're going to be in a dogfight, you know. Every game's a dogfight, you know. We're gonna out toughness you. We're gonna out rebound you. We're gonna outscore you, right? Running down that court, hitting those threes. That's our goal, right? That's what we want to do. And being a part of this is just something great. It's my style of play. I love it. And it's something that we can go far with this year.
Well, Chloe, keep up the good work, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
That is Chloe Parker, a member of the Neosho County women's basketball team and out of Riverton High School for our next level talents. Are you a person that's always on the go? You can still easily keep up with Kansas Sports Chatter with the audio podcast. Hear each episode on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to follow the Kansas Sports Chatter podcast. It is that time of the show to thank some more sponsors. Wheatland Electric, with headquarters in Scott City. Let them help you survey, install, and finance a new backup home generator. SPX Video Wall Solutions. They build and install LED video walls for indoor environments such as high school gyms. Also, Barton Community College. Flexible classes, affordable tuition, and programs built for your future. Visit them at bartonccc.edu. Thanks everybody for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, the Kansas Sports Chatter.